you're Hmong. I mean, you're part of the Hmong. You have Hmong tribe, which I didn't know there were blonde Hmong. I can't say it, Hmongs.
Yeah. That goes into another book that I'm actually working on, which is Pyramids, Megaliths, and Tribal Folklores. So I have a couple of different projects, but basically, my background is, I'm Laotian. I was raised here in Seattle, Washington, under political asylum because my family participated in helping the U.S. with the CIA's secret war there. And basically, I'm from the tribe called the Hmong, which is northern Laos. And the Hmong tribe, their lineage, they don't really know how far back it goes, but it goes back pretty far. And there's a lot of folklore that gets wrapped into the Buddhist artwork in the monasteries in that area. They go all the way back to Lemuria is the folklore. But basically, we're going to get back to Ascension, but the basic background of the Hmong people is we have all these megaliths all over northern Laos, and they're called the Plain of Jars. And there are these megaliths that look like cups, and they are like 30, 40, 50 feet. They're huge, and there's hundreds scattered all over in disarray in northern Laos. The folklore is that at one point we used to exist with giants, and that was the remnant of a massive party of giants that was just drinking and celebrating a war that they just won. However, and they look like cups of lids, by the way.
They do, and I'll drop something in there because it is phenomenal.
Yeah. So some amateur archaeologists have said, because they found a couple of bones in there, that they were funerary, but they're not funerary. There's hundreds, and maybe one or two had funerary bones in there, but that's the folklore. However, go ahead.
I was going to ask you too. From what I understand, even deeper than that, they split off, and the women were harder working. The giants, that they went either south or north, and the men were the ones that were kind of drinking and partying, and they went to a different spot, the opposite or whatever. I think the women went south and the men went north, and that's why the lands are flatter, and where the men were, it's more rugged and mountainous because they didn't want to pack down and prepare the earth. Do you know? Did you?
Yeah, I've heard of those folklores as well. But so I'm doing the research in different folklores all over the world from different tribals. So talking to different elders of different tribes, and just kind of writing down their tribal folklores, like the Hmong tribe. But basically, the Hmong, long time ago, there used to be blonde Asians with blue eyes. And during tribal times, the folklore goes is that they lost a war with China, one of the dynasties in China, and they got exterminated. The Chinese that dynasty came down and found every single blonde Hmong there was, even the babies, and killed them all because they didn't want them to reproduce. So the only Hmong that survived are the ones whose hair did not turn blonde permanently, or they kind of slowly change and their eye color changed because it wasn't dominant. Those were the only ones that survived. And so every couple generations in a Hmong family, you'll have a blonde or a see, I just saw orb come right through you, come like this.
Really?
In front of you. That's a nice dust particle.
Exactly.
Dust particle. Anyways, so talk about distractions.
I know. It's talk about thinner dimensions.
Anyways, so just to finish off the story, so every couple of generations, a blonde or blue-eyed Hmong or combination will show up, and my cousin was one of them. My mom was one of them, but it didn't survive. So how I found out about this is that I did a DNA ancestry test, and it came back that I thought that I was maybe partial Caucasian, maybe some Russian up there, Mongolian, whatever. And it came back that I was 14% Polynesian, and the rest of it was basically Laos or Southeast Asia. And I argued so much with the scientists, and they said we're 99% correct in our findings. We know our word. You're not Caucasian. You're full Asian. I'm like, okay. And they're like, have you ever heard of? We have some people who are Hmong. Have you ever heard of the Hmong? We have people who are Laos, and a lot of them have some blonde, blue-eyed traits in their genes. And I'm like, oh. So then I told my mom, and I said, hey, are we Hmong? And she said, yeah, of course we're Hmong. And I'm like, why did you tell us? And she said, it's kind of something you don't really talk about in Laos because it would kind of put a marker on you, and you just don't want problems, because a lot of the Hmong fought with the U.S. and the CIA secret wars. So they just don't want problems, so they don't talk about it.
Oh, and they also, so many of them, I think they said something, 2/3 died because of that. I mean, we lost a lot of Hmong, and that they, and from what I understand, in order to have the light hair, both parents have to carry the recessive gene.
Yeah, they have to carry the gene.
That's really rare.
Yeah, and the blonde, blue-eyed, or mostly blonde gene in the Hmong DNA is in a different protein marker than blonde Caucasians. So that's in a different protein marker as well.
So what's the background of that? Where do they think that came from?
The folklore is all the way through to Lemuria.
Yeah?
The folklore is Lemuria. Now, see, my family has no recollection of being anywhere besides Laos, but I'm 14% Polynesian.
Which takes us to Easter Island.
All the way down to Polynesian Islands, where Lemuria would be.
So, and I read something, and I think it was something you sent me, that Lemuria, like the West came from Atlantis, and the east came from Lemuria. Did that you said that?
That's how the folklore goes, and the folklore goes is a lot of the megaliths technology was from the two massive ancient civilizations. Now, most of how the folklore goes, and this is what I'm doing research in because I'm finding this a lot in my research with talking to different tribal leaders and elders around the world with their megaliths, is that they don't really have recollection of most of them say that it's not them that did it, but it was maybe they were descendants of the ancient people who created it. And a lot of levitation technology, laser technology, metaphysic type of technology was used to create those according to the legends and the folklores. And a lot of that information also is documented in Buddhist literature.
Wow.
Because according to the folklore, especially when it comes to Lemuria, according to the folklore, about maybe like 13 or so thousand years ago, after the major flood, which is documented all over different monasteries in Laos and Thailand and in different places of the area, and these are completely separate from the Western world because of the mountains. They documented the flood that came through and wiped out most of the people in areas. And the people that survived were the ones that went up to the mountaintops, like Tibet. They went up to northern China. They went up to the mountaintops at the top of Hawaii, the top of the Polynesian islands. Those are the people who survived. And so there's remnants of these people, and then they basically tried to recreate their culture from what they had and know. But a lot of the information, again, is documented about metaphysics, is documented in Buddhist literature, because that's where the free universities are. My father actually got a free education, and that's where he learned to write and read English. Was from the Buddhist monasteries that are free in Laos. So the tradition has been like that for a very long time, and it still is like that as well. And we've had a lot of different types of people and monks raised to a high frequency from the Buddhist tradition, like Bodhidharma, Huangpo, Yeshua, Kuan Yin. A lot of different master teachers come from our universities in these Buddhist monasteries. But anyways, that's a different topic. But basically, a lot of this stuff, again, is just folklore that goes all back to Lemuria. And if we don't know a lot about the pyramids of China, but they found some evidence of blonde, blue-eyed Asians in the pyramids of China.